If you give up, they win. Turning Point Action is playing to win. This event is going to be unlike any other. There is no crowd more important than Turning Point for the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion.
This is an insanely popular event.
You are the tip of the spear.
We are here to save America, and we're going to get the job done.
I'm thrilled to be back with the conservative patriots of Turning Point Action, one of the most powerful grassroots organizations in the entire nation.
We are off to the races, everybody.
Welcome back to Swing State Update. I am back, you guys. It is nice to be here again. My name is Jessica Barshis with Human Events, and as always, I am here with Tyler Boyer and Austin Smith. What did I miss, guys?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a couple weeks. California, spin class.
California, spin.
You spun to California?
And basically.
You rode a bike on the back of a truck all the way?
Cyclists on the side of the road. No, I don't do that.
Well, we're happy to have you back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Just feels right.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's been a big week. There's been a lot going on.
So AtCon?
Yeah, let's talk about AtCon real quick. We cold opened with AtCon. We announced this week while you were gone. Mm-hmm. The biggest event that's going to happen this summer, we're calling it the People's Convention, AtCon 2024. And we started this last year, which we did in Florida last year. This year will be in Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, as we know, is one of our key target states, probably the fourth or fifth most important state in the country. And so we decided, the RNC is doing their event in Wisconsin. Michigan cannot be left out. We've done a lot in Arizona. We're doing a lot in Wisconsin. We're doing a lot in Georgia. Let's do this in Detroit and give the people of Michigan something to chew on this summer and help organize our activists ahead of the election.
I feel like I was just there. Like, I cannot believe AtCon is coming up again.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Really fast.
It's been, this year's flown by. I can't believe it's already March. So
yeah. No, this is going to be really exciting. We've never done this massive event in Michigan before.
I don't think I've ever been to Detroit.
I don't think in the Turning Point ecosystem,
I'm going to tell you something,
never
guys.
Done one in
Detroit's cool. So we went and toured the whole place. Like, it's incredible. It's the only place that you can look south and you look at Canada in the United States. So it's incredible. Yeah, it's like right on the shore. We're gonna own downtown, which is incredible.
Okay.
We have you have right across the river Caesar's Palace. So Caesar's is right across the river. It's big bright lights. You have the big GM. I was like such a fan of being down there. The stadiums are all right there. The Lions had a great year. And this is the exciting part. So we're doing this big deal, and literally this is a month before the RNC convention. The RNC convention is kind of shut off to normal people, which is stupid. So we want to make this an open invite. Anybody in America can come. Every activist can come. 99 trainings we're going to do. We're going to have all the biggest speakers. We're going to set this whole thing up like a convention, except more exciting. So more LED, more indoor fireworks, more confetti. I told Lauren.
More cowbell.
I told Lauren, I want confetti everywhere. I want it like in people's lungs by the time they walk out. So this thing's going to be massive. So you do not want to miss it. Jess will be there.
Yeah.
Austin will be there. I'll be there. We're going to have, from what I hear, the big men there. We're going to do a whole full pre-nominated, nominated. The whole thing is going to be a lot of fun. So all the biggest speakers in the movement. And like I said, 99 trainings, getting everybody ready to chase ballots and win in October and November. So don't want to miss it. You can go register right now at TPAction.com. You can go to atcon.com, atcon.tpaction.com, and then register right away. So it is now open.
Very exciting.
Well, let's talk. So what we got on the agenda today, Austin?
We've got a huge announcement here in Arizona. We have got a new countywide race. Do you know which one it is?
It's been the big news here in Arizona this week.
Huge news. State Representative Justin Heap is running for a Maricopa County recorder against the fraud Stephen Richer.
Democrats are freaking out.
They are. And the media is like not knowing what to do with themselves about it, right? Just to give you some background here, State Representative Justin Heap sits right next to me on the floor. He's in the Freedom Caucus. He's actually Tyler's state representative right now. A great guy. We serve on the elections committee together. He just announced yesterday that he is running for Maricopa County Recorder, one of the most important offices in the entire state, and you could argue the country.
So Austin, let's talk about what the recorder is and what he does. So every county in the state of Arizona has a chief elections official.
Yep.
This person is called the county recorder. The county recorder is responsible for conducting all our elections. And so obviously people have become more and more acquainted with Stephen Richer. Stephen Richer ran on this entire anti-Fontes thing 4 years ago. Told everybody that he was going to
Make the recorder's office boring again.
Make the recorder's office boring again. And what did he do? He got in and immediately started taking notes from the Democrats. Anyways, so this guy got in. He rode into town in Arizona.
2019-ish, 2018.
Literally rode into town to essentially run for office.
Yeah.
And he kind of duped.
You want to tell that story?
Yeah, so this is a funny story. So he comes from some kind of money, and I think it was like he was a trust fund baby or something. And basically what happened was he's part of this group that's called Teneo. And it's an insider group. It's kind of like a Skull and Bones type of background, elitist group. And a lot of people kind of get thrown into it. You're not really supposed to talk about. I'm not part of it, so I don't mind talking about it. So someone set us up and was like, "Hey, this guy's moving to Arizona. He wants to start donating to political causes." And so obviously with Turning Point and being involved, I was like, "Okay, sure, I'll go meet him." So he rolls into town. I go meet him at Cafe Rio down by ASU. And we start talking, and he's like, I just get these weird vibes. Like, what is this guy's deal? And this is like, he just moved here. He just came here.
You were saying this about him?
Yeah. Okay. So I was getting kind of weird vibe. I was trying to be nice to him because I was like, oh, if he's a donor or something, obviously, like I want to, be friendly to him, and so he can. And so immediately, like, he kind of, I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but it went along somewhere along the lines of like, oh yeah, I'm really interested in politics and maybe getting involved and maybe running for office. I'm like, whoa, red flag. You just got here, bro. Literally. Like, what are you talking about running for office? I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, well, who have you talked to? And he started like naming off all these consultants and like Camelback Strategies and all these guys.
Did you laugh in his face? Because
he's like, I'm friends with Matt Kenny and I'm friends with Chad Haywood. And I'm like, oh no. And so I
would have just started laughing.
So I like kind of put down my fork. I'm like, so yeah, I'll just give you the rundown of how this place works. I was like, I'll give you the rundown how this place operates. And I started breaking down everything. And this was like, again, this must have been just right after Trump was elected. So it was like probably right around that same time. Had to have been. It was summertime, right? Summer probably right after Trump got elected in 2016. Or maybe 17. I'm sorry, 17.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right. So it may have been a little bit later than that, actually. Yeah, because he ran in 20.
Right. No, he ran in 8. No, yeah, in 20.
In 20. So this must have been late. Must have been like 18 or 19. So anyways, so I'm like, whoa, red flags. And he's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden he started, getting involved and started talking a lot about the recorder's office, which it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a lot. But I could just tell by the way he was talking about the recorder's office, he was taking some really interesting swipes at like the way that they were going about it. I'm like, oh, I've seen this before. This is the kind of stuff that they set up for people when they want to run for office.
Correct.
And he told me kind of you want to run for office. So I was like, oh. And so when he started running, a lot of people were like, do you know the Steve Richer guy? I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't support him. He said he's like best buddies with all these consultants. I started naming him off, and people were like, the people who asked
me. Red flag.
Yeah, people who asked me. And, and started going through. And so I never trusted the guy. Didn't help him run. I didn't support him. I would have really supported anybody else. And he kind of cruised to the nomination with doing this.
And people, that's the thing. They just coalesced behind him. He didn't really have a primary. Nobody did any homework.
I'll set this up again. In Maricopa County, we got a Democrat county recorder. His name is Adrian Fontes. He took out the 30-year incumbent,
Helen Purcell.
Helen Purcell, whose name is now used in textbooks because of how long she served and some of the things that she did at the Supreme Court. She lost because the lines were too long for
in 2016
for our presidential preference in 2016.
Yeah.
And people lost their minds. And
Yeah.
they were like, this is effing insane. Like, Helen Purcell's too old. She's crazy. And so they knocked her out. She lost that election to Adrian Fontes because Republicans were so pissed at her.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
So this is 2016.
I remember.
People were so pissed about long lines. Fast forward. So Stephen Richer makes all these complaints about Adrian Fontes trying to change the laws and everything, which he was, gets in and immediately changes tune.
Yep.
Becomes best buddies. So he gets elected in 2020, becomes best buddies with Fontes and this whole group.
Yep.
Reneges on everything that he basically campaigned on.
Yep.
And he is basically becomes the villain of Maricopa County.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst the grassroots.
And you called it.
He wanted to be just some elected official. He just wanted to run for office and get elected. That's the worst type of person you can get. The absolute worst. But we have a candidate.
Especially running the most important. Well, and this is where a lot of people have come in and been like, where did this guy come from? Well, maybe he was sent in here to run because they were worried that the Democrats were going to lose this office.
Yeah.
And so he's basically like a Manchurian candidate type of a deal. And I don't know, to be honest with you, it looks a lot that way because he got in and immediately adopted 95% of the things that Adrian Fontes instituted.
And the Democrats haven't actually recruited a serious candidate against him.
No, they haven't.
The person that's running the Democrat, I can't even think of his name. He's so irrelevant. And the Democrats don't talk about him. Yeah. So nobody talks about this guy. So they're totally fine with Stephen Richer. That's where I'm like, red flag.
He's their candidate.
They're totally okay with it. But State Representative Justin Heap announced this yesterday that he's now running for recorder, which is awesome.
So Freedom Caucus guy.
He's from Mesa.
His dad.
He's an attorney. He's a criminal defense attorney. Actually.
So you might know his family.
So he knows the law.
You might know his family member, Todd Heap. Mm-hmm. Todd Heap played for the Cardinals. Had a long career in the NFL.
ASU.
Was at ASU.
Was a great football player.
Yeah, great tight end in the NFL. Massive dude. Family was struck with tragedy a few years ago when he had a kid pass away. So Ralph Heap, Justin's dad. This is the conservative credentials thing, ran against Bob Worsley. So Bob Worsley, again, for all those that are listening, you guys remember Sky Mall?
Yeah.
Jess, do you remember Sky Mall?
Yeah.
So Sky Mall was invented by this guy named Bob Worsley, who's from Mesa. And he was actually one of the bad guys. Mm-hmm. So he actually hated conservatives, stood against the anti-illegal immigration measures. He's a big pro-legal immigration guy. I don't know why. Anyways, Ralph Heap, Justin's dad, runs against him, barely loses by just a couple of points. Just a couple of points. And this was in the midst of the big, Russell Pierce versus the world type stuff happening in Mesa. But Ralph was great. So fast forward a number of years down the road, Justin's like, I'll do it. I'll run for office, and glad he did because he's a great dude and a great member of the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah, great voting record. We serve on the elections committee together. He's a serious candidate, and the establishment, he'll probably win the primary but lose the general election. I'm like, no. You guys are absolutely terrified that there's actually a better candidate that the conservatives have now that can beat Stephen Richer and can win the general election. 100% can. Conservatives are much more organized in 2024, and with Trump on the ballot, I mean, it's a perfect recipe for victory. So the establishment hates it.
Well, they're worried because they didn't recruit a real candidate.
Correct.
The Democrats haven't recruited a real candidate. The establishment doesn't have a real candidate because Stephen Richer's this pseudo-establishment Democrat guy. Correct.
He says he's libertarian. I'm like, you're not a libertarian.
He's not. And look, I couldn't be more of an advocate to remove Stephen Richer from office. And this is part of the reason why, too. And this is Maricopa County's job, right? Is to find a good candidate. And I'm glad that the Freedom Caucus has coalesced around Justin and encouraged him to run. So thank you guys. I know a lot of the Freedom Caucus members were.
I'm going to hate to lose him, but we got to have people in good places, you know?
Well, and this is the
Got to
other,
have good people.
this is the other thing.
places.
We have now limited time. So we have exactly 1 month to get 6,000 signatures for Justin.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you live in Maricopa County, we need you to go online to eQual, which is the Arizona Secretary of State's website. So just type in, you can just type in,
I'm going to do it now.
just type in like AZ eQual, click on that, go on there, put in all of your voter registration information. It's your name, your birthday, and it'll ask you for your voter ID number, the last 4 digits of your social security number, or your driver's license number. Get all that in there, and then sign all of the petitions that you want, but there's going to be one that's for Maricopa County Recorder. Go on there and sign Justin Heaps. It's fast. It's a secure way of doing your signatures. He needs to get 6,000 of them in a month, which is totally doable. That's the most important thing we can do right now.
It's actually a lot less than that. We just want to get.
We have to get buffer, right?
Yeah. You
So
want
that would
to
shoot
get.
for
You want to
more.
get about 50% more.
Right.
Than what your requirement.
Right. So sign. Jess is doing it right now. She's going on.
Except I don't know my driver's
Driver's
license
license
number
number?
or
I
my
know mine by
voter
heart.
You don't
registration.
have your driver's license with you?
I have it, but I don't want to get it out right now.
Oh, you can get it out.
It has some personal information on it.
Everybody
Well,
that's
don't put it
listening
on
right
camera.
now,
Okay.
if you live in Arizona and Maricopa County, you have to sign Justin Heaps' petition. Please sign it, and then you need to tell 10 other conservatives that you know in Maricopa County to sign Justin Heaps' petition. If we can, I have a theory that if we get like 5,000, 6,000 signatures, Richard might drop out. He might be like, I'm not doing this.
Well, this is the pressure point, right? So there's another guy that's in the race right now. His name's Don Hyatt. Great guy, nice guy. Not going to win.
No.
So he might not even make the ballot. I don't know. Probably not going to win. And we're done screwing around here. So Stephen Richer has to go.
Yes.
There would not be a bigger embarrassment for Maricopa County at this juncture for the Republican Party if we do not challenge and knock out Stephen Richer come this July 30th.
Bill Gates is going. He's not running again. Clint Hickman is not.
Bill Gates is going because I think his employer may have said, Bill, no more
Bill Gates
You're
is out.
costing us
Clint Hickman is out.
sales.
You got to get rid of Stephen Richer.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of Jack Sellers. Got to get rid of Thomas Galvin.
Jack Sellers is gonna
Thomas
lose.
Galvin has a primary. Michelle
Ga-
Ugenti-Rita.
Tom Galvin's gone.
Yeah, like this is awesome. This is so important. These are national implication races. So go sign Justin Heaps' petition and every other conservative who's running for a Maricopa County position.
Look, and I'm gonna say this again. Justin Heap, great short 4-letter name, right? It's easy to remember, easy to tell people about. We're gonna hype up Heap here, and we're gonna rock through this thing this summer, knock out Stephen Richer, and they're not gonna have a strong Dem candidate now because they haven't recruited someone strong. So now they have this problem where Stephen Richer has to make the decision: is he going to drop out,
Right.
or is he going to drop out now, re-register as a Democrat, and get signatures to be a Democrat?
Which is very possible.
He should think about that.
Yeah. I mean, he is a Democrat, so that would make sense.
Yeah, all his fans are Democrats.
Oh, and the really cool thing about Justin Heap, when we make him recorder, his replacement is going to be Justin Olson.
we got
and his
Justin
dad.
Olson already. Yeah,
That's awesome.
And Ralph Heap.
Ralph Heap
Who ran
and
against
Justin
Bob
Olson.
Worsley years
You're
ago.
going to have it set up in LD10. You have the whole.
We're good. We're a good conservative district.
You're set.
We beat Rusty Bowers by 30 points.
You guys are totally set, and you're going to save Maricopa County for us because you guys had Stephen Richer. Like LD10. Great job, everybody.
Good job, Mesa.
Cool.
So cool. So yeah, that's a big deal. So again, we're gonna post the link. Actually, could you tweet that out here a couple times over the next 24 hours, Austin?
Yeah.
Is the link
For Justin
to sign the
Yep.
petition for Justin Heap. If you have anyone in your family, go online, sign the online petition on eQual. That's the electronic qualification system. Takes just a couple minutes. You got to put in your driver's license number, your name, and then it logs you right in. And you can go down, just scroll down to where it says Justin Heap for recorder. Now, it might still say his name for LD10. Don't do the LD10 if you're in Mesa, but if you're anywhere else in Maricopa County, please sign it, get it out the door. We got to get Justin Heap on the ballot just because we got to beat Stephen Richer. So,
and I will vouch for Justin Heap. He is conservative.
He's the real deal.
He's conservative. He's not a fraud. So we got to get him.
He is the real deal.
One thing I was not
his,
prepared for going into my first LD4 meeting was how many people would be outside asking for signatures for things. And I was not prepared at all. And I didn't know anything about anyone. I was like, do I need to vet these people? What do I do in this situation? I was like, I guess I kind of like this person. Sure.
Right.
Seems like a good fit. But like, how do you guys navigate that?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that this
there's
is
like, there's like 15 people running for U.S. Senator.
This is part of the reason why it's hard to get signatures, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get signatures because nobody knows you sometimes. And
right.
so that's why it's the job of these people to get their faces out there and their names out there.
I signed Carrie Lake, Paul Gosar, mine, Justin Heap. Man, I still got some more to sign. Yeah, you can sign your own.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I got a couple more down here. Man, we got some work to do, folks. But anyway, exciting stuff in Maricopa County. I can't wait.
I'm about to do it after this. I just need to. I don't know my voter ID either. Do you guys know your?
I don't know my voter ID by heart, but I know my driver's license number by heart, and I'm not telling you guys here.
All right, darn it.
Anyway,
let's go ahead and move on. We have a pretty devastating story that I'm sure everyone has pretty much heard of this week. So Laken Riley, she was basically bludgeoned to death by an illegal immigrant, and more details, are coming out around it. But yeah, really, really sad story. It's been covered pretty extensively, and it's been kind of the talk of all the conservative news this week. But her name will definitely go down in history, I believe. I think we have a clip of her vigil.
Yeah, let's throw up the clip of the vigil.
Wow.
Pretty big crowd. A pretty sad situation. So for those that have been tracking this, we've seen a lot of this say her name, tweets and messages and posts.
Yeah.
Just talk about Laken. Didn't have to die, by any means. And the history on this guy too, which is, and this kind of hits home for me because I had a family member that was a victim of a violent crime from an illegal. And this is the reason
really?
why. A very violent, very sad crime.
Oh my gosh.
Won't get into details, but it was life altering, a life altering crime. And she was just at home and was attacked. And this was years and years and years ago. It wasn't recent, but my family has known the horrible nature of what this can mean. And she could have easily died in my family. In this case, it was awful. But she didn't have to die. And you look at this history. I don't know if did you guys see the history on this guy?
No, I actually didn't look into the history.
Austin, do you see this?
Yeah, no,
he came here illegally, came across, I think, El Paso, has been stopped multiple times. So he was stopped for criminal crimes in New York, crimes in Georgia, and not deported, not sent, not cuffed, not held, not sent out of this country. And this is because of a porous border. This is because of poor policy that we have on getting people out of the country who are here illegally.
This reminds me so much of Mariam Mendoza's son. It was a Mesa police officer, was killed in a head-on collision with an illegal immigrant who was deported twice out of this country, just came back, and he killed a Mesa police officer in a head-on collision. All of this stuff is totally preventable. Some of it you kind of feel numb a little bit, like it's become what's the right word for it? Like the normalizing, like, oh, it happens sometimes.
Desensitized,
Yeah, like it happens. Like this is how evil and deceptive and gross the left is. They're like, oh, it's normal. It's totally fine that an illegal immigrant. Would it have been worse if somebody that wasn't from our country or from the American killer was like, no, you're forgetting the point is that the illegal who's not supposed to be here wouldn't have killed her if he wasn't in this country. This is why we need Trump back, the largest deportation in the history of this country. Just a year out.
I think we have joining us Joseph. Is Joseph on yet? We got Joseph on. So welcome Joseph. Joseph's on our team.
Hi.
And for Turning Point Action. Also you're not an Athens native, are you?
Yes, sir. I was born in Athens Regional back when it was Athens Regional.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I missed that part. So he's an Athens native that has some pretty in-depth insights about the politics that are surrounding Athens. So we're happy to welcome you in. Well, welcome, Joseph. And he does a tremendous job on our action team as well in Georgia.
Thank you, sir.
it.
It's unfortunate that I have to come on under these circumstances, but I'm actually happy that I can bring some things to light. This town has kind of been occluded for a long time. So anything that I could really answer about it, the mayor is not the only person involved who is really responsible, though he's getting most of the spotlight. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard of our DA, Deborah Goncales.
I haven't, but why don't you give us kind of a rundown like you were telling me about and walking me through how screwed up Athens politics are between the school, the university. I mean, because it's a very conservative area in Georgia with this really weird blue blip kind of right in the middle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Athens has been Athens-Clarke County unified government since about 1991. And ever since then, things have been not quite right. We have a system in place that is very obtuse. If you look into the process, for example, our elections for county commissioner, well, city council county commissioners, they are not in November, they are in May. So you have your qualifiers in March, and you have 2 months of campaigning, and then you elect the commissioners. The city has 80,000 people. These races tend to get out about 3,000 or 4,000 people per district. It's totally out of whack. We have sub 35% voter turnout rate in some areas. Our DA was elected and has lost about 50% of her staff. She's under, I think she has 2 employees left. She doesn't prosecute cases. We have a mayor in office who, but you've noticed his lying perhaps on national television. Yeah. He says we're not a sanctuary city, but we are a sanctuary city in all but name. What they passed early on in 2019, they said that they were going to not work with ICE. They were going to make sure that people didn't get deported out of the state for committing crimes. And the kicker here is that our sheriff, John Q. Williams, he's actually a replacement sheriff. You see, we had a former sheriff. His name was Mr. Nasser, and he indicated that he was going to work with some people in the city who are concerned about illegal immigration, and he was, let's say, gently asked to resign. The city council is 100% Democrat. Nobody contests these races. The GOP is strong here, but nobody will vote for a Republican because they don't know the process is so screwed up. Right. You go downtown, you go to a house, nobody knows their commissioner. These people work at 6 o'clock at night on a Friday, and they don't tell anybody what's going on. The only way to get the documents beforehand is about 3 days before. And when you look at the general calendar for the sessions, they are never specific. So what they have done is they have created this cloud over the city, and it stops anybody from really engaging in the process. I, for one, actually went down to the Board of Elections office in an attempt to get the petition signatures to help for the DA's race. Now, I went there and I asked them just for the sheets themselves. They told me that they had no idea what I was talking about. And when I insisted on getting them, they called in the superintendent of elections, and she said that she hadn't helped out with one of these in years. These are the only way to get on the ballot.
Wow.
You have to get these signatures. So they're running an operation where nobody can get involved unless they go through the Democrat Party.
Wow. Yeah. So they've just put the entire city on lockdown.
That's about what it's like.
And really and close it down. And so that's probably, I mean, so when you look at this issue, like this guy had been caught, stealing in Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where the scrutiny is coming in Athens, right? Is that this guy was busted for what he was doing in Walmart. Do you have any insight with all this whole situation?
So he was arrested for shoplifting and he was given a ticket. Now, this is why I say it's not just the mayor who's at fault here, though it's really a good symbol for what's wrong with this city. Kelly Girtz came out of the public education system here, but he's not from around here. He has essentially appointed these people into office. There is no process where there is a Democrat primary. The city council and specifically Mayor Girtz say this is the person we endorse, and that is the person who is on the ballot. He was arrested, he was ticketed, he was let go, and they did not indicate to anybody that this man was in the city. They did not indicate to the state police that he had been arrested. They just let it go. And the DA is actually abdicating her duties. Her docket is something like 15,000 cases, or maybe 1,500 cases. She's 1,500 cases deep with no staff, and she sits there and does nothing. These people also don't answer questions. You could try and contact them. They will not get back to you. Their contact information, it's available on the Athens-Clarke County website, but it is buried beneath leads of links and into a PDF file that most average voters will never get their hands on.
Wow.
Okay, so I know he was arrested in New York, and then I don't know what he was arrested for in New York, though, and then he went to
Child
Athens.
battery.
Oh.
He was arrested for child battery in New York, yes.
My God.
I mean, this guy's a bad dude.
Okay, and then he went to Athens, and that's when he did the shoplifting.
There is some questions about how he got to Georgia.
Yeah.
Athens is steeped in nonprofit organizations from leftist lens. They work quite a bit with Atlanta, and if you've noticed, particularly if you look at the locals online who are defending Mr. Girtz, you'll see that most of them we are talking 20-year veterans of the Democratic apparatus. These individuals have been working with nonprofits for years to move people around. And what happened in New York, from my understanding, is he was arrested for child battery, assaulting a minor or some such. And then one of the nonprofit organizations moved him into Athens to avoid getting him into further trouble.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I know that there was a 911 call. She made a 911 call to Athens police, and they are refusing to release that. Do you have any insight on that?
I have heard some secondhand from people who I know in town who are close with the police department that it is very disturbing. There is some warning there, and I don't know the exact audio. But this is also not unsurprising. To be honest, Athens has a history of cover-ups. Athens has had multiple, let's call them politically related incidents where individuals who engage in the political process have had accidents or have died. There was a man, Carl Lindbergh, who was a member of one of our local nonprofits, Nucci Space. It's great for artists and musicians. It's supposed to be kind of a men's health organization. He was telling people that he was going to get involved. The gang violence on the east side had gotten out of hand, and he had a child on the way. I know this. He was a close personal friend of my family's. He had a child on the way, and months later, he shot himself in the back of the head. And they really quickly covered it up, and they didn't talk a lot about it. And people who tried to ask questions were told to stop.
Interesting.
So Athens has a history of cover-up.
Well, it's a crooked town, and it's not infrequent when you look at small towns that have big universities in them. And this has happened a lot. Athens, I don't know how many people live in Athens.
80,000.
80,000. And so you take
80,000 plus.
You take out the university, and it's 20, 30,000 people live there. And it's probably grown significantly in the last 10 years. But I mean, that's kind of what happened with Tempe, Arizona. Tempe, once upon a time, was a small town. It still is. It's relatively small. It's not that much bigger than Athens, really. But the university grew so much with Arizona State University that it has like an obvious control over the entire city.
It's like
the entire
Tucson.
town. Yeah, like Tucson. Like
Yeah.
Tucson too grew the same way. You know, a lot of these college towns with the big universities really are unfairly impacted. And Athens is in the middle of like deep red Georgia, effectively. And you've got this massive, terrible, and it's actually a good thing because it's better to have those universities out in the middle of deep red territory because there's at least like some kind of balance, right? Like we saw with the vigil with all these people coming out. Obviously, those are conservatives coming out and sane people coming out.
Yeah.
But it does suck. And this is a good reason why conservatives should fight back against these universities from taking over their towns because it's just destroying about. You can see Athens is a good example for how you can see the university educational, what I call the educational industrial complex is just destroying the fabric of America.
I call it the higher ed cartel.
I'm glad you brought up the university and their control over the town because one of the big issues in town is housing. And now housing is out of control, cost of living, locals can't afford to live here anymore. And the city will gesture to solving this problem. However, what they, in the meantime, are really doing is giving out contracts to organizations that are building. There's a project called The Drake, which is a 18-unit, multi-million-dollar per unit condominium right across the street from the university. And that's getting built and okayed, but we can't build a single family housing occupancy unit at the edge of town. We are having low-income housing built, but the low-income housing is the exact same amount of buildings or the exact same amount of units, and then they're squishing in middle-income housing. And the issues that we have are these are going to become student housing because they are so closely located to the university. They essentially allow the university to build whatever they want and allow them to patron to the university, but anything that affects the locals, anything that affects the people who actually live and vote and breathe life into the city to make it function, nothing gets done.
Well, and this is, you know, I want to say this is a good statement to make. You know, we obviously blame the Biden administration for Lakin's death. Right. You know, we blame the porous border for Lakin's death, and those who have fought, you know, building the wall, putting, you know, I personally think that we should be much more aggressive on the wall than just building a wall. I think we should be doing a lot more. We should be putting a lot of bodies on down there and protecting the country. We have people, I just saw a video today, people from Brazil, people from Africa, from Ghana.
People from China.
People from China.
Yeah.
There was
there
was like 100 Chinese nationals down at the Texas border.
Just because you've probably been reporting on this all week.
Well, I mean, not necessarily the border, but I do kind of know what's going on there. I mean, for example, what has happened in, oh God, I'm blanking. Give me 1 second.
Well, and I was just going to say, I'll finish my statement. We blame the Biden administration, obviously, for the porous border, but I put it equal to as much blame of Lakin's death on UGA. So the university,
Absolutely,
the university is directly responsible for her death because of the environment that they've created in a small town that makes the police scared. I mean, and just so that everybody's at home knows this too, there's two different police units in Athens, right? You have the police that are the University of Georgia police, and then you have the Athens police. And what happens again in these towns is that the woke police, which are typically the university police, and again, we love our police. You know, they have a tough job. Those that serve at our college campuses have an extraordinarily tough job, but it's even tougher because you have this woke agenda that's at these college campuses, and so you know a lot happens on the college campus, and people get away with a lot more than you might have in definitely a small town environment, right? Where you have, you know, Barney Five-0 type of stuff, which I appreciate. You know, I appreciate people, you know, running their town and, you know, local sheriffs and everything else. So the problem with this is that when you have a loose woke police force, a woke adjacent police force, it starts impacting police forces like in Athens. And I've never toured Athens. I just know others, right? I've spent time around the Arizona State University police force and how that impacts the Tempe police. And I can just tell you from personal experience that there are a lot of police officers in the adjacent town that surrounds that university that have a lot of disdain for the way that the police departments run on campus. But the unfortunate part is that culture bleeds over to impact that police department or the sheriff's department for that surrounding county. And so I blame the university for just as much not being as aggressive in maintaining the composure of that small town and for Lakin's death as much as I do the Biden administration.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, Joseph?
Ultimately, the fields at which she was murdered, they are public areas. I mean, they're part of the university, but they are used by everybody in town. They are some of the safest. They are supposed to be some of the safest parts of the city. They have cameras all over. That's why they caught him so fast. They had camera footage of him basically within an hour, and I mean, people are going around there all the time. The university, they have patrols. So the failures of the university are, I mean, they're kind of astounding on this. I will say though, I think that a lot of this is going to rest on the city government, because the city government has chosen not to advocate for the people who live here, not to advocate for the city itself, and has chosen instead to essentially be bought out by the university. There is a medical college that they are opening up. Now that's going to be okay, no time at all. But any kind of benefit to the infrastructure of this town is pulling teeth. They actually have literally cut down infrastructure in this town for little pet projects. Like I'm a fan of parks, but do we need sidewalks on every single road when we have a traffic problem, right? Do we need to have a tiny park in every single zone when we can't even afford to keep the east side clean? I mean, it is ultimately a failure of the Athens-Clarke County government to not advocate for its people.
And this is ultimately, when we look at this together, we're looking at a problem that's impacting. This is a true problem that we have, a true pandemic that we have across the country now, where we have this weakened law and order situation that's happened because of how much we've let these university campuses go or just run free. And the crime that happens on a university campus, it's undeniable. There's increased crime that happens in and around a university campus. You invite in just a lot of weirdos that are just like hanging around the university. You have people that are attracted to the sports spotlight that happens with the university. So there's just a lot of different things that are introduced here. And unfortunately, we've allowed these universities to grow into tiny cities and cities within cities. And it's not fair. I mean, you're going to have these incredibly awful things happen to young women in particular who, I mean, I listen to true crime podcasts all the time. I swear like half of them are about young women who are killed on college campuses, you know? And so this is unfortunately the situation with UGA in Athens. And Joseph, we appreciate you shedding some light on what's there. We'll kind of give you the final word before we let you go.
Yeah, thank you. I would just like to end it by saying that, you know, ultimately responsibility for this town rests upon the elected officials who are supposed to represent Athenians. And that means that the 10-person commission and the sheriff and the DA and specifically Mayor Kelly Gertz are responsible for this woman's death. They should have been there. They should have had law and order in place. And it wasn't there, and they intentionally got rid of it. They said that they were not going to enforce the law. In 2020, Kelly Gertz said he was going to reduce the police department by 50%. It's unacceptable. We can't let it go on. They're unaccountable, and it's because they are allowed to obfuscate this entire process and hide it from people. So I guess I'll just leave it on one last thing, which is that Mayor Kelly Gertz, if you ever see this, you will resign.
Well, thank you again, Joseph. We appreciate you, all you're doing out in the field, building coalitions for us in Georgia, doing a tremendous job. We are going to be doing so much at UGA this fall. So
thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. I wish I had been under more fortunate circumstances.
Well, let's prevent the future of this by getting a lot more conservatives elected in Georgia. How about that? That's going to be the starting point, right? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let Joseph go here. Let's kick to Alyssa. She's in the middle of doing hair actually right now, right?
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
about to mix.
Oh, I was wondering what that was. I saw like a hair salon, and I was like, "What is going on?"
She
like 10 minutes
we're,
ago.
We're
Over
with
there.
Alyssa. Alyssa also our incredible rep that's out in the East Valley of the Phoenix metropolitan area. Full-time mom, full-time salon expert, and then also full-time representative with us. We thought, what better way to showcase all her feminine skills than to actually join her while she's doing somebody's hair.
Yeah, come along with me.
This is incredible. So
I do this on the side once a month. I am a part owner of a salon in Tucson, where I'm from. And when we moved up to the Valley, I have been committed to, finishing out my lease here. So I'm doing it all.
Keeping up the book of business, making sure that people have great style and great colored hair. So here's what, so we wanted to dive into this. So this last week, the Moms Coalition had an incredible event. We had 100 plus moms join at Turning Point Action's headquarters here in Phoenix. And do we have producer Sadie, do we have the images from that? Let's throw those up real quick. Incredible work Alyssa and the entire team were doing. So we had 100 plus moms, lots of great hair there too. Lots of good coloring.
Yeah.
That's there as I've seen. But
Loving the
Just
highlights.
call those women gray haired.
I thought he said
It's a
that
bold
at first
move,
too.
Cotton. Let's see if
I
it
thought
pays
he
off.
said that
No,
at
I
first
said
too. He
great.
said great hair.
Oh, I thought you said
Wait, go back
gray.
to the
I was like,
image.
that's a bold move,
Go back
Cotton.
to the
I
image.
thought he said
Those
great
women we just
hair.
recruited to knock doors for
If
the
it
ballot
was
chase, that's
gray-
a bold
if-
move, Cotton.
If it was gray, we'd send them down to Alyssa. But these ladies look good, and they're all moms. Most importantly, like Alyssa, and just crushing the mom game. Alyssa, tell us about what we're doing with our Moms Coalition in Arizona.
Yeah, so
And tell us about the event.
Super passionate about the moms. Moms are, especially in my neck of the woods, are not turning out to vote. So I'm very passionate about changing that. We, over the last several months, have been talking about throwing a big event in the Valley where we can gather like-minded mamas from all over and introduce them to other like-minded moms so that we can in turn go out and chase those ballots, engage with the moms that have been completely ignored and disengaged in those rural areas. So we want to make it fun. And we had a big event. We served dinner and we, put up a bunch of decorations and lights, and we did all the things. And we had speakers come and just made it a really nice, fun evening away from the kids. And it was an incredible turnout. Everybody just had a blast. And now from here, we will be doing smaller, more regional-based events so that, moms can get to know their neighborhood mamas that also feel the way they feel and are ready to fight for their children and their future.
Yeah, what is the reason that you've heard as to why moms aren't turning out to vote as much? Because I would think they would be the most invigorated.
Yeah. I think that it's easy for moms for ballots to get lost in the shuffle of mail and all the things. I completely completely understand that. And then secondly, I think these moms have been totally ignored, that the rural county or the rural areas have been left behind by the GOP, and they're completely disengaged. They don't know what's going on. They are completely clueless. And so our job is to clue them in, that get them connected, know what's going on, know their candidates, and just make sure that they are sharing, that you too can have a voice. You have power in your neighborhood, and all you have to do is, send some text messages out, send a postcard, knock on your neighbor's door, bring them cookies, just the simplest things. We want to make it fun and just build out that community so that people trust us and feel like they matter.
Well, and this is what's really interesting about what we're doing here and what you're doing. I should give you the credit when I say how important this is. This is, again, she brought up at the very beginning, guys, Alyssa is in an area of the valley. So we're talking Queen Creek, Santan Valley, South Gilbert, East Mesa, all that's all a big block in the very, very southeast corner. We're talking tens of thousands of votes just sitting on the table that haven't been chased. Tens of thousands, right? And so one of the things that Alyssa brought up was there are a lot of mom-centric precincts that are in that part of the valley that just people aren't voting. They're not showing up. They're busy, I think Alyssa can speak to this. She's literally doing two things at once as we speak right now. And, she's got kiddos somewhere in the picture here. So everybody's got something going on. And I'll tell you this, and this is a good example, is when you have an election where people aren't super excited about either candidate. And I think this is one of those elections, right, for a lot of women. A lot of women are definitely not excited about Joe Biden, especially if you come from a conservative place, but may not love Donald Trump for whatever reason, right? Yeah. But this is the important part is filling the community element, knowing that there's something more at stake. And what that is for us is like our kids in school. I've got 3 kids and I like them. I think they deserve a little bit better than what the country's giving them right now. You've got a lot going on in South Gilbert, Queen Creek with this whole Gilbert Goon stuff going on. And there just is a lot of rambunctiousness that's happening, obviously with the sex ed element, everything else. There's a lot of elements to talk about that really have nothing to do with Trump, have really nothing to do with Joe Biden, really at the end of the day. And then we just got done talking about, Alyssa, what was going on in Athens this week with, the murder of Lakin, that, she was killed, because of illegal immigration. We know that, illegal aliens are flooding over the border here. And so there's a lot of safety issues that are there too that I know parents are very concerned about. But finding whatever the right topic is, and then what we're doing, what Alyssa's doing in that neck of the woods that's so important is identifying moms that can work together and start talking together so we can organize ahead of this October to make sure that other moms feel the love and they know who they're talking to get that turned around. So first off, thank you, Alyssa, for engaging in that work. But if you can, and we'll let you go, we won't keep you on here because I know you're busy right now. We can see you. For those of you that are listening in podcast, she's literally in the midst of making someone look extra beautiful right now. So she is coloring hair. I don't even know what the proper terminology is. So coloring. She's coloring.
We're not dyeing. We don't dye hair. We color hair.
Yeah, I haven't used dye once. I know that much. I've been married long enough where I know I don't use the term dye here. But she's coloring, and I dye my hair. My wife colors hair. So tell us a little bit about kind of what your strategy is, what your approach is, what you're hoping to accomplish and do now that we have moms starting to organize and we're identifying them in the right places, the right precincts, getting that granular, that specific as we move forward for the East Valley.
Yeah. So, I said, I want to make it fun. I want to do fun things. This morning, for example, I had a breakfast at my house and I had about 26 people come over and I just taught them how to use our app.
Wow.
I taught them how they can spend.
Wait, Wait, so you had 26 people over your house today for breakfast showing people how to knock doors this morning?
I did.
That's awesome.
And then I drove up here right afterwards.
Wow. You're a rock star.
Down here.
That's incredible.
How did that go?
It was great. It was so much great feedback. People are just so excited and pumped to know that they could spend the smallest amount of time, 10 minutes a week even, sending out 50 text messages to their neighbors, and know that that's making such a big difference in the election. So they're pumped, super excited. I want to do fun things like that, where we get together, get some moms at the park. We all pull our phones out and text some people in the area, and just feel like I want these moms to feel like they are empowered. And like I said, that they have a voice in their community. And I think that our app is just so incredible. Everybody's so excited about it. It's going to be key in this election, and anybody can do it. There's no excuses.
Well, that's a perfect transition. And before we let you go, Alyssa just brought up the application. You can go wherever you get your applications from on Google or Android, from the Google Play Store, from the Apple Store, Apple App Store. Yeah.
I think it's just
Is search for Turning Point Action or TPAction, not the Turning Point USA app. That's for our college kids and high school kids, and we love them to death. But you're looking for Turning Point Action application. If you download that today, you can immediately start getting involved. You can follow along with what's happening on a day-to-day basis. Our coalitions are crushing it, so you're going to see a lot of that pop up on the feed. But in the top left-hand corner, that will enter you into our activism tools, and you can click there. And just like Alyssa said, you can start knocking doors, you can start making phone calls, you can start writing postcards, and it's going to direct you directly to the people in your neighborhood that are closest to you, just 15 houses at a time.
Yep.
And you're going to notice some of those names. You're going to know some of the names because it's going to pull up the houses closest to you. It's going to pull them out down on your street, which is also one of the nice functions of it. Because I know for me, I do a lot of politics, but I don't know how my neighbors vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's nice to be able to pull up on the map and say, oh, I know that person. It's good to know that they're also a Republican, and I can go start a conversation with them. Maybe not about politics, but even about other things going on in the community. Maybe just bring them a plate of cookies, to be honest. Like, that's one of the things that we talk about is, every mom that's listening, you don't have to engage people on politics to start, right? Just engage people on normal stuff, like what Alyssa's doing right now, which is, just being a normal person and, working your job, living your life, taking care of your kids, having people come over for breakfast. These are all just very neighborly things. And so that's what's going to be most important to saving the country. Alyssa, we'll give you the last word before you let you go so we can let you get back to work.
All right. Moms, you can do it. I'm tired of hearing the excuse that you're busy, because we're all busy, and you have a voice and you have say for your children and their future. And so all you have to do is stand up, get a little vocal, and talk to your neighbors. So that's it for me.
Well, we're so proud. I was taking a picture while I'm going to send it to the team right now of literally Mrs. Ambidextrous. So we're incredibly grateful for all the work that Alyssa does. Alyssa, we'll let you go. God bless you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing right now across the state of Arizona for moms, for Turning Point Action, getting out the vote, and obviously making people look beautiful. So we appreciate it.
I have a lot of friends that are new moms. I got to send them to these events.
She's awesome.
I'll get there.
And this is the most critical.
Awesome.
This is the most critical thing. Alyssa's like literally an angelic example of what a perfect activist mom looks like. And that's what's so wonderful is we have so many great examples on our team. And Alyssa, like truly, again, is one of the most perfect examples of how do you get involved, what do you do, how to do it, because people need some kind of guidance, right?
Yeah.
But the most important thing, too, is actually the placement. So, everybody can get involved and do things, and that's what's nice about our application. Like she mentioned, it doesn't matter where you are. You can download it today, start writing postcards, start making phone calls, start sending texts, start knocking doors. But there's specific places that matter the most. And Alyssa, the work that Alyssa is doing, the work that our team is doing here in Arizona is we're targeting those precincts first. So she's actually going to the places that are going to save the country first. So again, incredibly grateful for her, the work that she's doing, incredibly grateful for all our moms that got involved. If you're one of our moms that is listening, that joined that event in Arizona, we're going to have a lot more in other states. We have in the top 10 key target states, our full-time field teams building moms coalitions in your community. So we want you to join. If you want to join a coalition today, go to coalitions.com. That's right. We own coalitions.com. It's coalitions.com. Where we want you to get involved and be part of a coalition, whether you're a mom, if you're part of the Hispanic community in your area, your faith community in your area. We have healthcare workers, teachers, coalitions. We need you to get involved today. So that's right. Go to tpaction.com/coalitions or just simply coalitions.com and get involved today. Well, you know what, guys? I don't know if we want to round out today. Did we have another clip that we needed to?
No.
That was it.
We had the reaction to the Biden's too old and can't secure the border.
Biden's too old.
Biden's too old, and he purposely is not securing the border. That's all we need to know.
Well, that's a great place to end on it. Things are going pretty well. I actually just saw a really great poll that came out today. I think it had Arizona up 7 points for Trump.
I think it was 5.
And it's even more when I think that was the head-to-head.
Right.
But things are looking good there.
But we take that with a grain of salt.
Totally. But this is where the Democrats are getting very uncomfortable because Biden is getting crushed by Trump. Trump is crushing Biden by 7, 8, 10, close to 10 points in some of these polls. And that's a massive L for the Democrats. So they got to do something. And this is the border. This is the economy. I mean, I just went to Taco Bell again this week. It was literally
again this week.
A couple times this week.
Tyler loves Taco Bell. There's one thing I know about him. Tyler loves Taco Bell.
$18 for like a meal.
Oh, I know. I went to the McDonald's drive-thru the other day, and it was like $11 for like the little breakfast sandwich. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
That used to be like $4. Yeah. It was literally I would get a Baja Blast, like a bean and cheese burrito, a nachos, and maybe like a taco. That used to be like literally $4. It was like $4.50 or something. It was like $1 a piece. Now it's literally $18. I don't know how people are surviving. I don't know how people are living right now.
Going into
steak quesadillas are like $10.
It's like $10 for a freaking quesadilla from Taco Bell.
Yeah. And even more when you DoorDash it, which I do because there's no Taco Bells close to me, so I know that's even sadder.
There's no Taco Bell close to you?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in Paradise Valley.
Yeah, they don't do Taco Bell. Yeah, they don't do that.
I'm not gonna give my exact cross streets on here, but
Tyler, you peasant. But here's the thing, though. Trump. They're not pivoting at all on immigration and the economy. They're just going, it's fine. Everything is fine. Don't look here. Everything is fine. And Trump's crushing them. But they know where to go and get their votes. They know to go collect, to ballot harvest where it's legal, to chase ballots where they have to. They're not pivoting at all because they're like, we're just going to keep going down this path because we know where these votes are and we're going to go get them. No. And that's why I'm like, guys, we're up 5, and I see a lot of conservative commentators and the political bros on Twitter like, Trump's up, he's going to be crushing him. I was like, we said that in 2020. We said that stuff in 2022. We sat on our asses and didn't do anything. Y'all got to still be active. Yeah. Chasing the vote. tpaction.com/chase. Please come chase the ballots with us. Please, please, please.
We're going to talk about this every time, and we have quite the listening base now. We went live this week, had 20-something thousand viewers. We've got thousands on podcasts now. Producer said he's doing a great job. We're going to have a massive podcast crowd here that's going to be following everything that we can do. You're gonna get everything you need to know about the events coming up and things happening. So as a reminder, if you missed the beginning of this podcast, go register right now for our this year's Action Conference. We're calling it the People's Convention. It's going to be massive. If you were here for America Fest, it was massive. It was incredible.
The event of the summer.
We're going to be doing probably Swing State Live. So,
we are.
Jess has to get ready. We're going to make sure that she is center stage on the big stage because we're gonna do it live on stage. I think. That's what we're gonna do.
It's gonna be cool.
So we're gonna
That'll be a first for me, but so
why
is the
not?
podcast.
Yeah, why not? Hopefully Timcast. We'll get
one
Timcast
after the
down.
other.
We'll get Timcast down again. We'll get a whole bunch of things. We're gonna probably have the big man. We're gonna have every big speaker, probably who's gonna be our VP nominee here as well. It's gonna be massive. I mean, this thing is going to be absolutely off the chains. But this is most important. We're going to have 99 trainings. So everything that you need to possibly do and prepare for come this fall, we're going to give everybody the tools and get everybody pumped up, ready to go. So they're exiting Detroit, whether or not you're from Detroit. It doesn't matter if you're from Arizona, if you're from Georgia, if you're from Wisconsin, if you're from Michigan, you're from Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, everyone that's going to be, or another state. We're going to give everybody the training and the tools so they can leave Detroit in June, going July, the rest of June, July, August, September, October. That's 4 months. 4 months of hardcore, gritty, Democrat ass beating, absolute activism that's going to be out there. And I know Sadie's ready for it, right, Sadie?
Yes.
Sadie's ready for it.
I'm very ready.
We're going to have 15,000 people there, people. We're talking, this is the biggest convention center that's in Michigan. It's in downtown Detroit. I was there.
It's right on the water, right, Tyler?
It's beautiful. Like, I've never seen a more beautiful view from a convention center. I was like, oh, Detroit is kind of like, I know a lot of people are like,
That's
Detroit.
what I was thinking.
No.
You're changing my mind about it.
Dude, Devin Booker talks about Detroit all the time. He loves Detroit. I love Detroit. Detroit's incredible. I totally agree with D-Book.
Okay.
And the weather is probably going to be really pretty.
Oh, it's going to be perfect. That time of year.
Way
June
better than here.
in Michigan.
Way better than here.
No, June in Michigan's beautiful. It's green. It's like perfect weather outside. Like, we're going to have a heck of a time.
When you say June in Michigan, it sounds a lot nicer than June in Detroit.
We're going to send Parker to the casino.
Jess, I totally agree with you on
Thank you.
Parker,
June in Detroit.
Agree.
Producer Sadie and producer Parker are going to go to the casino.
What
Caesars.
about me?
You too.
Okay.
You're going to take them. You're going to ride the boat. You're going to be captain
the
of the boat.
resident gambler here.
You have to take the boat across the
Vegas
river
part
to
two.
Canada.
Vegas part 2.
And there's massive. You look out your window. There's massive Caesar's Palace. Like,
all right.
I don't gamble, but what happens in Canada, right?
That's right.
So again, we want to get you involved. Thank you for everyone that's joining. If the best thing you can do is like, subscribe, follow, automatic download, Swing State Update. Listen to it while you're going. We're going to give you the latest updates again. That's happening in Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia. We've had some big Wisconsin focuses lately. Glad we were able to touch a little bit on Georgia today. Obviously, things going on there. Georgia's looking great. Things are looking really good in Georgia. They're feeling bullish because this Fannie Willis thing has really gone south on the Democrats.
Right.
RFK Jr. This week also, this is a big announcement, made the ballot in Arizona and Georgia. So the reports are that he's on the ballot.
Yeah.
This is
important.
This is huge. So I think Democrats are
Freaking out.
They're worried. And now Stephen Richer as a competitor. Like, let's go. This is a week.
Big week.
This is a week. So you're going to want to join us. You're going to want to stay right here for Insider, see the inside of what's happening. Please go help our good friend Justin Heap get on the ballot.
Petition, please.
Sign his petition. You can follow that on Austin's handle at AZ Austin Smith. You can always follow me at Tyler Boyer. Jess, should we share your handle?
Sure. It's just Jessica Barshis. Just
Jessica
my name.
Barshis.
Just at Jessica
I'm
Barshis.
the only Jessica Barshis in the world. That's a fun fact.
True.
So
The one and only.
I got all the handles unlocked.
There's a couple Tyler Boyers out there, and I'm pretty sure they hate me because
There's a lot of Austin Smith. A lot.
there's a few.
There's a few.
There's
Anyway,
probably more Amy Smiths.
thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Guys.
We'll see you on Monday.